This is Making Stitches, back for a brand new series, and this time my guest is Katy Mitchell, the crochet designer behind Kate's Crochet Creations.
I've lost count myself, but yeah, 20 plus different themed granny square blankets, then I've a few granny square bundles. There is of course my book, the Granny Square book, that's got over 120 different squares that you can just mix and match to make any unique design. Yeah, if I was to try and put a number on how many squares I've ever crocheted, I wouldn't even like to imagine. It's thousands. Surely it's thousands.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to Making Stitches. I'm Lindsay. I'm a mum, I'm a former journalist, and my passion is creativity and crafts. Making Stitches podcast allows me to speak to other creative folk about their passions. I love hearing people's stories and being able to share them with you. In my last episode, I was the guest in the hot seat as my good friend Christine Perry from Winnick Mum interviewed me about my life and crafting. I have to say a huge thank you not only to Christine but to everyone who messaged me and said how they'd enjoyed hearing about me for a change. Well, I'm very pleased to say that I'm back in my comfort zone again now on this side of the microphone, and I'm sharing a chat I had with Katy Mitchell, the crochet designer behind Kate's Crochet Creations. Katy is known for her beautiful granny square patterns and her themed blanket designs. Her work celebrates colour, creativity and the joy of crochet, with patterns that inspire crocheters of all skill levels. Her designs are easily recognisable, featuring playful motifs like sea creatures and woodland animals. Katy's work has appeared in crochet magazines, she's a Stylecraft Yarns insider, and last year she published her first book, naturally called The Granny Square Book, which features 125 different granny square patterns. I was thrilled to be able to speak to Katy after a chance meeting at Yarndale last year. First of all, Katy, lovely to see you again. Our paths first crossed very briefly in the car park at Yarndale, didn't they?
Yeah, very briefly. I think so briefly that I don't think we had a chance to actually twig that we'd spotted each other. It was so fleeting, wasn't it? Trouble with the car parking machine, typically.
Yes, it wasn't straightforward this year, I tell you.
No, it wasn't. But it was a nice fleeting meet.
Yeah.
And it's nice to be able to speak with you a little bit more now.
Absolutely. Well, let me just take you back to when crochet entered your life and what it was that set you off on your amazing crochet journey.
Yeah, so it was kind of by chance, really. I'd had my little girl and she was probably around 1 year old. So this was like 2017. And I had a friend that we'd sort of lost touch for a while and we caught back up again. And we started doing crafternoons. And I was into card making and paper craft at the time. And she brought along her crochet to my house. And I was just intrigued. I saw what she was making and I was really... It looked like something I'd enjoy. I thought, I'm liking this. Can you show me the basics? And yeah, so she started me off with the basics. And then she introduced me to some YouTube tutorials, which I then carried on with. And yeah, pardon the pun, everyone says it, but I literally did get hooked. That was the start of it. And yeah, then one thing led to another and here I am now.
Wow. What does your friend make of your progress and your design work and everything now?
To be honest, again, we kind of lost touch again. She's someone that we've got such busy lives. We get in touch, we lose touch again. Last time we were in touch, though, she was saying, well done and really pleased with how it's going and didn't expect it to take off like it did, but you don't when it's just a matter of learning a new hobby. And then it just, like you say, it all has sort of happened by chance. One thing has just led to another. So we were both a little bit in disbelief, but she was really pleased.
How fantastic. And like so many people, you've come to crochet later on in life after having a family. And certainly I was taught myself by my gran when I was very young, but I went back to it when I had young children because I found with knitting, if you put knitting down, the tension would get wonky in the 6 weeks between the time that you put it down and you had the time spare to pick it back up again, whereas crochet is quite portable. You've only ever got one loop, haven't you, on your hook? So I find it
It's easy to just pick it up and do it as and when you please, and you can quite easily just put it down, go get stuck in with whatever chores and whatever else life's throwing at you, and then come back to it when you want. It's such an easy hobby to just come and have a break with. So relaxing and wind down.
Absolutely, which is so important when you've got young kids.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what it was that got me into it when I did start to learn. Like I said, this was 2017 and my daughter was about 1 year old. So it was more a matter of something I could do that was just my time for me to wind down with when she was napping, when she went to bed. And at the time, my husband used to play five-a-side. So he'd have his bit of time going and playing five-a-side a couple of nights a week. And I'd sit with my crochet for an hour and really wind down. So that's how it started. And that's a lot of it is very good for your mental health. It's a hobby that's really good for mental health, and it helps you to switch off and focus on something different than the everyday, than the challenges of everyday life, should I say.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. So at what point then for you did it transfer from just being an outlet to have some me time to actually I think I could start designing patterns and sharing what I'm doing with the world?
So again, that was also kind of just by chance. This is the weird thing. Everything I've done has just been one thing leading to another, and it's been by chance. So I worked in banking for a lot of years, and I worked with a girl. We became good friends, and she fell pregnant whilst we were working together. And she really wanted a special blanket making for a little boy that she was expecting. And when she found out it was a little boy, we decided, shall we go with a theme, make it more interesting, make it more fun, and not just be something quite generic? We wanted it to be really unique. And we settled on a space theme. So you may have seen my Space Explorer blanket, and that's the very first pattern I ever released. And it just came off the back of this request to make a space-themed blanket for my friend. I made the blanket, and as I was sharing it on my Instagram page, showing the progress of it and how it was coming together, I was getting regular comments and messages from my followers just basically saying, and I didn't have a lot of followers at this time, but a few people just saying, is there a pattern for this? I really like this. I'd love to replicate it. And it just got the cogs going and got me thinking, could I produce a pattern? Shall I try? And that was it. I just decided I'll try. I'll put a pattern together. I'll write it up. I asked for volunteers to test it, and there were quite a lot of interest in wanting to test it. So I got a handful of people testing it. And then I just went for it and I published it on Etsy, and that was the start of it. And then following on from that one, someone reached out to me, a friend of a friend, and said, I love your space blanket, but my little boy's really into woodland. I think his nursery was woodland themed, and would you design a woodland themed blanket? And I thought, yeah, why not? You're just giving me more inspiration. I'll take it. I'll go with it. And then, I did that one as well. And then one thing just led to another. You start thinking about all the different themes and all the different fun and interesting and cute things that you could put on these granny squares to make blankets from. And then it just expanded. And I've still got a list as long as my arm. Whether I'll ever get through them all or not, I don't know. But yeah, the ideas are just endless.
Yeah, that's it. The possibilities genuinely are endless with something like that, aren't they? And the colour schemes and the themes, it's incredible. So how does inspiration strike you? Is it just always constantly bubbling at the back of your mind when you're working on one design, what, the next one's going to be?
Quite literally, yeah. I could be making one thing and it'll just make me think of something else that might be another theme idea. Or my little girl will suggest things to me quite a lot. She genuinely is my biggest inspiration, because she'll see me making things and she'll be like, oh, I like that one, Mummy. That's such and such a theme. Have you thought about this theme? Or could you put this on a granny square? And she's always throwing these ideas at me, and don't get me wrong, she's only young, she's 9-year-old now, and some of them will be really far-fetched, and I'll be not sure how I can pull that one off, Olivia, no. But then other times, she really amazes me. She comes up with some brilliant ideas. But yeah, usually one theme just leads you to another idea, or I might see a colour combination that I like, and I'll think, what theme would that suit? But there's literally inspiration everywhere. Just walking through the woods, even just walking through my local town, the places that you visit, and just nature around you, the colours of nature. There's literally inspiration everywhere, even in obscure places. So it's just always, I think my cogs are just always going and always thinking about what I could do next. There's just not enough hours in the day to do them all.
Yeah. I think an awful lot of people know that feeling. The frustration.
I think we all wish we had more time for it, or we could do it that little bit quicker. But then, would that take the fun from it? Would it not be quite as therapeutic? So
no, I think slow and steady
would be nice.
Absolutely. So you've designed. Last time I checked, it was more than 20 different blankets. How many exactly have you done?
Themed blankets, I think 20 plus. I mean, I've lost count myself. But 20 plus different themed granny square blankets. Then I have a few granny square bundles. There is, of course, my book, the Granny Square book. That's got over 120 different squares that you can just mix and match to make any unique design. Yeah, if I was to try and put a number on how many squares I've ever crocheted, I wouldn't even like to imagine. It's thousands. Surely it's thousands.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to the book, how did that come about?
Again, this was also just an opportunity by chance. It's really strange because I'd never expected any of this to happen. It's all come by chance. But again, I said earlier that I used to work in banking, and I was at work one day and I'd gone on to my lunch break and I was checking my emails on my phone, and I had an email through Etsy, a message from somebody that had messaged me on Etsy. So I logged into Etsy and I read it. And it was from an editor who worked for Dorling Kindersley. Now, obviously, when you read these things at first, you wonder how genuine they are. And I'm a little bit sceptical. I'm reading it. I'm thinking, is this genuine? But it had her email address to contact her directly. And so I did. And she responded. Basically, she was reaching out with wanting to discuss with me the potential to creating a book. She said she'd been following me on Instagram for a while. She's had this idea of wanting to create a book of granny squares, but obviously not had anyone to produce that work, someone who actually would be the suitable author, designer for that work. And when she saw me, she said it was like a light bulb moment, and she thought, I wonder if Katy would do this. So she messaged me and we ended up having a call and we discussed it. And I told her I was honest about the fact that I was a little bit unsure when I read the message and worried if it was spam or anything. But as we spoke, and obviously I realised she was genuine and it was a real opportunity, I was a little bit stunned, really. It took me aback for a little while, but we got talking about it. I put my ideas forward to her. And then obviously that led to the birth of the Granny Square book.
And what's it like to see your designs actually in a proper printed book?
Very surreal. Very, very surreal. I mean, up until that point of having my book in my hands, every design I'd ever created, other than me holding the physical make, were all photos on screen. I'd photographed them, I'd put them on Instagram, put them on Etsy. Everything was just in my phone. All of my work basically lived in my phone. So then to have a physical item, a hard copy book, very, very strange, very surreal. And even now, sometimes I look at it and I'm still a little bit, I still have to question it. Is this real? Does this really exist? So it's very bizarre. And it's not even been a year since it was published. So it's very much still sinking in.
What kind of a feedback have you had from it? You know, have people reached out and shown you the work that they've designed from using your book?
Yeah, I'm regularly seeing shares on Instagram of makes that people are making using squares from the book. I've seen some beautiful makes. Very recently, someone had made a tote bag, using squares from my book, and they'd used a monochrome palette, and it was beautiful. They were obviously my squares, but in a different colour palette and put together in such a lovely combination. And it's nice seeing your work recreated by other people, but with their own unique twist on it, their own spin, their own colour combinations, or whatever it takes to make it personal to them. And that's just one example. I've seen lots of various squares. I've seen blankets. And they're all personal because you can pick and mix the squares and use whatever you think suits the recipient, whether it's yourself or someone you're gifting it to. And I love seeing how people combine the different squares and make it personal. Mm-hmm. That's probably my favourite thing about all this, to be quite honest, is seeing other people's makes using my designs and how they make them personal to them or unique. But I've had some wonderful feedback. Like I say, I've seen various makes. I've had messages from people saying how much they love the book and stuff. And it's really, really heartwarming. It's really nice to know that something you've put so much blood, sweat and tears into and produce this thing that you're proud of, but to know other people are loving it too, that's another level. That's something else.
Yeah, that must be really special. And what other opportunities have come your way through crochet? I know you've done a few collaborations and you've been featured in magazines and things, but do you want to tell me a bit about what that side of things has been like?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if it was off the back of the Granny Square book, but last year I was approached by Simply Crochet, who host the Granny Square Day now, and they are the ambassadors for it. Is that the right word?
I think so, yeah.
They sort of host the Granny Square Day celebrations and share a lot of Granny Square patterns and such. Everyone's Granny Square makes. They do the virtual Granny Square blanket with everyone's Granny Square shares on the day. And they approached me not long before Granny Square Day last year to be an ambassador for it. Again, I think that was off the back of the book, because it wasn't long after the book had been released, or it was about to be released. So yeah, I was an ambassador for Granny Square Day with them. There's been other various magazine features and stuff. I've been in Crochet Now. They did an interview with me quite some time ago, actually. That was before the Granny Square book, so that was more to do with my blanket designs that I were doing at the time. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and stuff offering things, but you just don't have the time for everything. And it's quite hard, actually, trying to juggle what do I take on and what don't I take on, because at the end of the day, I still want to enjoy what I'm doing and not be under too much pressure to do everything. We'd all like to do everything, but having the time and the capacity to do everything is impossible. But yeah, there's been a few magazine features. Being an ambassador for Granny Square Day was lovely. That was really, really nice. Obviously, Granny Squares are what I adore, so to be able to see and share and be part of that was a big opportunity that I really appreciated. And obviously being able to talk to you now and all the people that I met at Yarndale as well as yourself, and just mixing and mingling with crafters who love the same things. Everyone of a shared interest. So it's lovely to be a part of this community more than anything.
Yeah, I have to agree. They're such a lovely bunch, people who make and are creative. There's such support and openness and willingness to share knowledge and expertise. You know, it's not, people will willingly give their time and really generous. What's the best thing that's happened to you as far as the community is concerned, would you say?
I think in a really strange way, the feeling that I had at the Yarndale Festival actually was because you see all these people, again, like I said before, seeing all my work in my phone, but then seeing all these people in my phone as well. It's an online community. We know each other through a screen. So then to actually come face to face with a lot of these people who have supported me and backed me, and then I've likewise tried to support others, to actually come and meet those people face to face and realise how lovely they are in person, that was lovely. That was really, really heartwarming, and I really, really enjoyed that. And I'm looking forward to doing it again this year as well, to see so many people again in person who all just share the same love for the craft.
Yeah, no, it's a very special place. The atmosphere there is incredible as well, isn't it? It's almost a little bit of an assault on the senses. There's so much to look at and so much to take in, but in a good way.
In a good way, yeah. I was quite overwhelmed when I first stepped in. I thought, where do I go first? What do I see first? What do I do? And a lot of people approaching, asking you about the clothes you're wearing and stuff, because obviously we all go and showcase our makes, we wear them, and everyone's stopping you and saying, oh, this is lovely, where's it from? And you just very, very overwhelmed, and there's a lot going on, but in such a lovely way. It's really, really nice. I'm very excited to do it all again. Yeah,
no, it will be fun, definitely, without a doubt. Do you have a particularly favourite yarn that you like to use? Do you always use the same one, or do you like to mix it up and get different kind of effects with the different yarns that you use?
I do like to try different yarns and combine different ones as well, and try different textures and materials, different thicknesses, but I do have a tendency to stay quite loyal to Stylecraft Special DK. It used to be my most easily accessible yarn. It still is, really, but there's so many other yarns on offer now, you're spoilt for choice. But they've got such a good broad range of colours, and I find it such a versatile yarn, so easy to use. So that tends to be my favourite that I stick to a lot. And in fact, that takes me back to the question about opportunities that have come up. Stylecraft actually reached out to me as well to be an insider for them also fairly recently. And yeah, so that's something that's quite a new opportunity that came within probably the past 12 months, is that I'm also now a Stylecraft insider. So they often send me any new yarns that they create, any new colours, any new sort of colourways, colour combos and such, and I get a lot of yarns from them to try. So they've always been my favourite, and then I get even extras from them and try different stuff. So that's sort of opened up my, what should we say, sort of opened up my opportunities a bit more with different types of yarn, different colours, and yeah, so that was, that were again another quite humbling experience.
Yeah, I can imagine that being a bit of a pinch me moment when the yarn that's your favourite one that you've used all these years, they actually approach you.
Yeah, it was quite bizarre. Like you say, you have a lot of people reaching out to you and offering you things, and when it's your favourite yarn company reaching out to you all of a sudden from somewhere, you just think, is this real? So yeah, very much a pinch me moment. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving trying all the new stuff and opening my palette a little further.
Oh, fantastic. Am I allowed to ask you what you're working on at the moment, or is it top secret?
Well, I'm working on more than one thing, so I can share some. So I am working on a top secret thing, which will be revealed later this year, and I'm excited about revealing that one, but I can't say any more on that. My lips are sealed. So my other focus at the moment is, I was always a 1 or 2 work in progress type of girl. And recently, I don't know how, I don't know if it's all the yarns I bought at Yarndale, the yarns I'm getting from Stylecraft, but I've got to the point where I think I had about 7 whips on the go, and it was getting a little bit out of control. So at the moment, I'm actually focusing on actually finishing some of those, and then I can start some new and exciting things. I would really like to, I have a blanket idea for a new themed blanket that I'd really like to do this year. So once I've got these whips under control, that's something that I'd like to start this year as well. So hopefully spring, summertime, there might be a new themed blanket on the horizon. But yeah, at the moment, I'm in a bit of an organisation phase of trying to get the whips under control, sort through my stash a little bit, and then new exciting things can come when I've got room for them.
I'm very impressed with your discipline, I have to say.
I have to be disciplined or it'll be chaos. If I don't discipline myself, honestly, I don't know where it'll end up. It'll just be chaos.
Now, you give away free square patterns every month through, you know, the various different platforms that you use, in addition to the ones that you are selling on Etsy and Ravelry.
Yeah.
That's quite a big workload you've got for yourself. How do you manage your time?
Yeah, so what I try to do is my main projects. I mean, like I said, at the moment, I've got God knows how many whips on the go at the minute. So I'm trying to sort of each day focus on a different one. When it comes to the free patterns, I tend to plan them before the year begins. So the free square patterns, it's 1 per month. It's the first Friday of every month. And at the beginning of the year, I've planned them all out. And I've made so many of them ahead of time, and then I'll make the next batch of them again. So they're all planned out. They just need to be made up. But I think I'm up to about May at the minute anyway. So I'm always a few months ahead when it comes to the free patterns. And I can allocate myself a day a week to really focus on those in between the other projects. So yeah, it just comes back to being disciplined and trying not to stick to the same thing and having a favourite thing and trying to manage my time quite well. But I do this full time now. So I've got every day while my daughter's at school, between school hours, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that is my working on crochet. So, I mean, a lot of people, like they say, wish they could crochet all day and leave the chores and leave the work behind. And it's almost like I'm living the dream, since that is what I do now. But then you've got to remind yourself that it is also what I'm doing for a living, and I do need this to provide for my family. So I do need to prioritise what needs to be done and when. So yeah, I do have to be disciplined.
Yes, I can well imagine. Well, yeah, that it does sound like a dream, but yes, when it's something that you have to do and you've got deadlines and stuff, it kind of sucks a little bit of the joy out, I find. Certainly as far as the pattern writing is concerned, it's quite that can be quite hard work.
It can if you let it, but I think it's more a matter of managing what to do and when, so that nothing becomes overwhelming, and the stuff that's less fun, should we say, doesn't become tedious if you do it in small portions. So yeah, very much discipline and managing my time well.
Yeah, no, that sounds like it's key. And what kind of things are you looking forward to working on in the future? Have you got any really big ideas or things that you'd love to one day turn your hand to?
Yeah, I mean, obviously following the Granny Square book, I would love to do another book or two. That's definitely something, and I have some ideas for potential books, so hopefully that's something that might come one day. Watch this space. I have, like I said earlier, I've got a list as long as my arm of blanket pattern ideas, square bundle ideas, even the free patterns and the themes for the free patterns. I've got an endless list of things that I want to do. But one thing that I've never done and I would really like to do is to do a crochet along. I'd like to do a cal. So that's something, it's not something that I've really thought about yet. It's just something that I know one day I would like to do. So that's on sort of my bucket list, should we say.
Yeah, well, that's certainly something that helps build a community.
Yeah, exactly, it does. And it's the fact that you're all doing it at the same time that I really enjoy the idea of a cal, because everyone's sharing their progress week on week or however often it be, and it's just lovely to see everyone joining in together at once.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something I would really, really like to do sometime.
Oh, how lovely. Yes. Well, I did a very small scale one last year myself, and it was so nice to see people that I wasn't connected with in any other way reaching out and joining along.
I saw a lot of your squares actually that people were making for that, and it was beautiful. There were some really detailed and really intricate squares. They looked fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you.
And something like that would be really fun.
Yeah. No, it was just lovely, the support as well amongst the people who were doing it. You could see the conversations between each other and the support, and the compliments for each other's work.
Exactly.
It was a really positive experience.
It comes back to like the community spirit, as we said. It's the fact that it's all together and all at once and supporting each other and helping each other as well. And yeah, I do think it'd be a really fun thing to do.
Oh, fantastic! So you've spoken about the whips that you're bundling through at the moment and trying to get off. Have you got a favourite thing that you've made? Is that possible to choose when you've made so many?
That is a really, really hard question, because once upon a time I used to say it were always the latest one I'd made. So you'd say to me, what's your favourite blanket? Before I'd done my book and I was just basically doing blankets after blankets. And it would always be the latest one I'd made. And I always used to say, oh, this is my new favourite, this is my new favourite. And I don't really think it is. I think it's just that it's more recent and I'm proud of it. It's come together how I wanted and it's fresh. But looking back now, looking through all of them, there is a particular soft spot for the Animal Kingdom blanket, because it was probably my first ever design that really took off. I had a reel for that one on Instagram that went viral. It was a best-selling pattern for quite a long time in my Etsy store. It got a lot of attention. It was featured in a couple of magazines. It was a big deal, was that, and it was quite a turning point for my design career, because it just elevated things for me, opened up new opportunities. So yeah, I've always got a soft spot for that one. I'll always have a soft spot for that one. But I also really love the Sea Life Friends blanket. That's also one of my favourites. I do love the ocean themes, and I think that one is. And again, that's also a very popular one and a very well-loved one. But then really, ultimately, if I was to say the one thing I've made that I'm most proud of, it probably would be the book, because that brings everything all together. I mean, the squares in it, obviously, I mix and match, and you can mix and match them with my squares from all of my other patterns, from my blanket designs, from my free square patterns, everything. So that kind of is the gel that brings all of my ideas and all of my designs together. And it was a huge piece to work on for probably about a year of my life that I'm still, like I said, coming to terms with. I'm still finding it a bit surreal at times that it actually exists. So yeah, I'm very proud of that, and that's probably one of my favourite makes. But there'll always be a soft spot for those two designs, the Animal Kingdom blanket and the Sea Life Friends blanket.
Well, you can't beat little animals, and everybody loves them, don't they? That's the thing.
They do. Yeah, the animals are very popular, and I think on most of my designs it's the animals that seem to appeal the most to everybody.
Oh, fantastic. Well, listen, Katy, it's been absolutely fantastic catching up with you and chatting about your amazing crochet adventure, and I'm really grateful you were able to spend the time with me.
Thank you. I've loved it. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
My thanks again to Katy for taking the time to speak to me for Making Stitches. I really enjoyed hearing all about her crochet adventure, and I hope you did too. Now, I've got to tell you about something very exciting which is happening this weekend. You may remember that back in November last year I shared a chat I had with Michelle Greaves from Textile Festival. Now that's a brand new weekend-long festival happening in my hometown of Manchester, and I'm thrilled to say Textile Weekend is upon us. There'll be stalls catering to lots of yarn and textile craft passions. There are workshops, demonstrations and a talk stage too. I was excited enough about this anyway, but I'm thrilled to have been invited to host the talk stage. If you haven't got your tickets yet, please find a link in the show notes to the festival website to get them. And if you have got your tickets, I'll see you there. Do come and say hello at the talk stage. I'd love to see you. That's all for this time. I'll be back again in 2 weeks' time with more creative chat for you, and with a bit of luck, I'll have some lovely chats that I'll be collecting this weekend at Textile in Manchester. Until then though, thanks so much for listening. It's been great to have you. Take care of yourself and enjoy your crafting.